Welcome to the Utility Security Podcast, your command center for all things utility security. From power plant warriors to grid guardians, and even curious citizens, this podcast is your essential briefing on keeping up to date with knowledge and insights for securing our nation's utilities. Expert intel through interviews with security chiefs, tech wizards, and policy shapers. Tune in as we explore the latest vulnerabilities, industry best practices, and inspiring stories of resilience from the frontline heroes keeping our grids secure.
All right, welcome to the Utility Security Podcast. I'm here with Fredrik Nilsson, the VP of Americas for Access Communications. Thank you so much for joining us.
Curtis, thanks for having me. Pleasure meeting you here at ISC East, the busy trade show floor in New York.
Oh, it's such a fantastic show. I love coming here. We came here the first time last year. Really great event. The education's fantastic, and this expo floor is even better.
It is, and we're in the middle of New York, so nothing wrong with that.
What a beautiful city.
It is.
Yeah. I want to go ahead and dive right in. First, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself and Access Communications?
Absolutely. So I'm Fredrik Nilsson. I'm running the Americas for Access Communications. Access Communications is the global leader in video surveillance, and especially in the IP camera space that we invented 25 plus years ago. And we've grown it today to be close to a $2 billion company. US and Americas is majority, almost 60% of our sales. And we work predominantly in the video surveillance space with the large Fortune 100 companies, with local schools, with hospitals, with transportation agencies, with retailers, and of course, a lot with utilities as well. So we have a lot of experience there. And we have now reached out into more of an IoT devices as well. So we also do audio, IP-based intercom, and IP-based access control, which is also widely used by different utilities. 5,000 people globally, mostly engineers sitting back in Sweden developing these fantastic products we see here, or close to half of the staff. And here in the Americas, we run 700 people working strictly through partners, distributors and resellers to get out to the large end customers for those installations. And we have a large ecosystem of partners, technology partners, many of them here today, Milestone, Genetec, etc., that integrate our devices into their overarching solutions. So that's a short intro of Axis.
Oh, great intro. And that's why we're excited to do this podcast. Such a great organization, and you work so much with utilities. And, that's a great transition. I want to get to some topics about utilities and security. So let's go ahead and dive in. I want to start in the area of cyber attacks, which are continuing to grow at an alarming pace. I mean, the statistics are kind of overwhelming when you see them. It's faster and faster. So, what can utilities do with large budgets, and maybe the utilities with not so large budgets do, to be better equipped to handle cybersecurity challenges?
I think there's a lot of things. Cyber is both technology and a lot of things that you have implemented in your cameras and the products to make it possible to be cyber secure. Yeah. We have FIPS 140-2 in all our products now, and that 140-3 in all new launch cameras, which is a little additional chipset to make them more cyber secure. We have our cloud platforms, SOC 2 certified, and we've all kind of different secured firmware, secure boot in the cameras that are kind of protocols for providing good cyber security. But all that said, I think cybersecurity has most to do with processes within organizations. How you use those technologies that are out there, how you design your network, and more importantly, what you do to keep the cyber hygiene up by means of updating devices when there's vulnerability found and there's new software being launched for our products. So we spend a lot of effort, not only on those technologies, but also on our development philosophy, how we develop the software in our organization. If we find a vulnerability, there's some hole in the product in some protocol, we can patch that up and do a new firmware for our around 200 different devices within days, sometimes hours, and spin a new firmware, because that's the way we develop products. And also we never OEM any product, everything is home developed. And then we also have tools that makes it very easy to quickly deploy them in a facility, or even more importantly, in a remote to remote devices if they're connected to the cloud or if they're connected to your own private network as well. So as much as you have all these technologies, you also have to have a development philosophy in the company and the tools and the dialogue and the processes to make sure any customer, including utilities, knows what to do when, not if, but when this happened. Because as you say, it's a huge issue and it's not going to go away. You just got to figure out how to do it. So we invest a lot of time and effort. We have speaking sessions here and at other shows, and we have education as well through our Access Academy program to educate partners and then customers on how to deal with cybersecurity.
That's fantastic that you're so proactive on securing cameras and offering education like that. I was actually sitting in a session here at ISC East yesterday.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Where they were talking about, some vulnerabilities of companies that maybe aren't offering that firmware, patchware, or help or education where you can tap into cameras easily from web tools online and stuff. So definitely sounds like you guys are pretty proactive on making the cyber environment secure for your products.
And any node on a network can be the attack vector for a hacker, including our cameras or speakers that we're standing just under here. And I think a lot of organizations have more of our devices because there's a lot of cameras and it's not as speakers than any other device. And therefore, it's essential that we have a good dialogue with our users, how you keep those updated all the time as well. Because you don't want to be the reason for someone to break into a large utilities network.
Wow, nice. I'm going to transition over to some recent news. I think it's about 3 weeks ago, the Department of Justice had that press release come out where they stopped an attack. Somebody tried to fly a drone in with some explosives in a utility in Nashville. Luckily, they caught him and stopped him. But drones and attacks on drones seem to be more of not an if but when sort of thing.
Yeah.
So from the standpoint of a utility, what kind of recommendations do you offer to help them be better prepared?
So utilities have a challenge, especially in the power industry with a lot of substations, and part of the infrastructure is out in remote areas where no one necessarily is. And also centrally in cities where it's vulnerable for because it's providing power for thousands of people. We are working. So one thing that is part of our business strategy is to be open when it comes to our technology. So we have open APIs to all our products, how they work. And we have thousands of technology partners that have integrated support for our cameras in their solutions. So we're working with a number of different companies. Megos is one that is doing kind of ground radar and similar that detect the drones as they're coming in towards different soft targets. And when they detect them, give the command to our cameras, our movable panty zoom cameras, so they follow and see and can give alerts to the operators what is happening, and also kind of get statistics. If there's a drone flying over, where did it go? Was it just spying on the infrastructure? Did it have some other intentions? Did it land anywhere? Did we see an operator anywhere close by? So while we don't detect it by the camera because it's really hard visually, we work with a number of companies that are doing the different radar and thermal detections to take over. When they tell us the geolocation of a drone, we can focus in on that and then via AI follow it around when it flies around and give us statistics back to the operators.
Oh.
So, and that's become very popular and a demand over the last couple of years.
I was just going to ask, are you seeing a trend?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Got it. I want to move on to another topic, another issue for utilities, especially in the electricity sector, copper theft.
Copper theft, yes.
That is billions of dollars stolen every year. Lots of downtime, lots of issues, safety concerns, people dying when they break into steal copper. So again, kind of tapping into your expertise, some best practices, something you'd see utilities do that work most effectively at preventing and stopping those kind of
That's a great question because copper theft is a big issue both on construction sites and for utilities, which of course consume a lot of copper for their installations. So there's you have to detect what's going on, and you can forensically go back and see who kind of stole the copper. But what if you can deter the theft as well? That's kind of more valuable for the utilities. So first of all, a lot of theft happen at night where you have little visibility, and that's the reason why the bad guys come at night, because no one can see them. First of all, we have very high light sensitivity because we have a technology called light finder. You can actually see colors at dark. Sometimes it's hard to recognize people's faces, but the color floats is typically a better way to detect who was stealing. And sometimes people use baseball caps so you can't detect the face of anyone. But seeing colors at night, which we can do with light finder, is a great technology without having supporting floodlight, which consumes energy and you don't know when to turn it on. The other thing as well is we have thermal cameras. So if it's pitch dark with thermal imaging, you can actually see when it's pitch dark as well and see if something is coming closer to a substation or an area where you store copper. And the best way to use it, instead of alerting an operator somewhere, you can also alert a speaker. We have a speaker behind us here to play a pre-recorded message. And then when you have this light finder technology, say, not with his voice, but basically, hey, you with a red jacket, step away, this is private property, and this is under surveillance. And most of them would leave at that point, I would guess. And then you prevented the whole theft, you had the recording of who it was, and we'd say more and more installations, especially with remote sites, of those fully automated kind of guarding solutions that has a voice speaking back as well. You can also connect the speaker to an operator center where a lifeguard is talking back to the person and telling them that this is under surveillance, please leave the premises. It's a very powerful solution.
Yeah, it sounds very powerful and offers a lot of efficiencies for the
And if you can avoid the theft, everyone is happy.
Yeah, definitely. And again, if you're kind of leading into my next question there about finding efficiencies, leading into this podcast, I went onto your website and I read a critical infrastructure industry report that's on your website. And you talk a lot about a talent shortage in that document. What are some of the ways what's some of the things that Axis is doing to help utilities with, and maybe other organizations with talent shortage as it comes to, the maintaining security systems?
Yeah. Another great question. We jokingly say, when we're at meeting for security industry associations, like, did anyone ever grow up thinking that when I grow up, I want to be in the security industry? And no one does, right? People find it a little bit by mistake. They stumble into it for a reason. They knew someone who's in it. And all of a sudden we find ourselves here feeling we're doing something good for the world. We're making things secure. We're making things smarter. And we're kind of helping the world to be a little bit better place to live, or at least buy it. So what do we do to attract more people? We're very engaged in different association activity. There's one called RISE, which is young people coming into the industry to make sure they rise quickly and they get all the institutional knowledge that people have who's been there for a long time. We also have the association working with programs for colleges, for education in the security space. And we also have our own Axis Academy training, in which we train tens of thousands of people every year to kind of get the knowledge you need to be successful in this space if you're a new person when it comes to both technology. And then we're working with other associations such as ASIS, American Society for Industrial Security. They have different certification levels, CPP, PSP, PCI, that we give our staff bonuses from getting and trained, spending their own time. We're paying the books, spending on time to get those certifications, to further the knowledge in the whole industry and get more people excited, and hopefully other young people to get into this industry as well. Wow. So there's a lot of efforts when it comes to education across the board that we're working on. I think it's a very exciting space, as you can hear. Yes, I wish there was more young talent coming into this space as well. It is a really good space from technology and doing something good as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Again, it sounds like a lot of effort. It's a great initiatives that you guys are taking part of. I'm going to turn to a new topic that I hear about every 3 seconds.
Okay.
At a security show, AI.
AI,
yes,
of course.
Yeah, I'm going to edit some of this audio using AI.
Yeah.
It's definitely a buzzword that just continues to go and move forward. I just want to talk a little bit about AI in the state it is today. Okay, where you see the evolution moving toward in access as you move into 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where you're anticipating that going?
So first of all, we have talked about AI for 20 years in this industry, and it's sort of the holy grail. And the reason it's the holy grail, if you look at the investment or spending in security in all of America, South and North America, every year, it's around $65 billion that large businesses, large governments spend on making facilities, cities, airports, schools, hospitals secure, to say. So 80% of that spend goes to manual labor, installation, maintenance, but predominantly guarding and monitoring. So what if I have devices that can do that more accurately than humans, of guard and alerting people? I had an example before how you have detecting theft of copper and then calling out the message to avoid that kind of theft. What about if you can automate more things? And that is why analytics has been the holy grail for a long time. The challenge, though, was that the accuracy wasn't there. But then something happened 2-3 years ago, and that was the first time we had good capacity and performance on deep learning on the edge, so you can do a lot of the analytics out on the edge. And at the same time, OpenAI, another company, launched their first AI, Gen AI, that we use because it's fun and it's useful for different applications. So shortening text to writing great articles, you maybe use those tools to kind of summarize things. So all of a sudden, everywhere in the world talks about AI. We've been doing analytics for a long time, and then all of a sudden bake this together and say, you're also doing AI. I said, well, call it whatever you want, but it actually became something that's very accurate and useful over the last couple of years. And today here at the show, we're launching our latest chipsets called ArtPec 9. That is 3 times the performance of the last one that was really good, really taken to the next level. So long story short, in this industry, we're talking about this holy grail of automating a lot of things to make it more accurate and save money and help organizations. Now that is coming into fruition, and not only for security, but also business optimization, business intelligence and operational efficiency. For application of counting cars or getting license plates, driving up to substations out remote and see when people come and leave and providing statistics and data instead of just video. That is happening right now. And to your question, what would happen in the next 5 years? As much as we talked about in the past, it will all come to fruition over the next couple of years and really be a very different industry. So it's a good time to be in this industry.
Oh, wow. Yeah, kind of some insights or what your punch tells you about where it's.
No, so what we used to be able to do, and I'm simplifying in the past, we can do basic video motion detection. Something happened in the frame, we said, something is happening, you should record and look at this video.
Yeah.
And then 10 years ago, 15 years ago, companies say, what if you can recognize faces? What if you can detect the objects? But they have too low of an accuracy to deploy it over thousands of cameras in a big utility or retailer. Now it's all the accuracy. You can detect people, you can detect cars, you can detect color of cars, you can detect color of jackets, shoes. If people sit down or lay down, how long they linger in a certain area. And instead of having an operator having 100 video streams to watch, you get data from what's happening. You can kind of get your attention to where something really interesting is happening and program the system to alert and record and be proactive much more than you can done in the past. There's so many applications. We also have on the operational efficiency side, there was a story last year. There was BMW put it out online so you can look at it yourself. Where they're using our cameras for quality control in factory because of the accuracy we have now.
Yeah.
And image quality. They have all the final assembly line of cars going through, monitoring the camera for welding spots, gaps within the doors to alert the operators. Instead of having people like you and I standing and look and make sure it looks fine and measuring.
Oh,
so now it's all automated for better quality and, saving costs as well in building those cars. So that's just one example. And it's only the last 2 years we'll be able to do that. So next couple of years, it's been so many applications you can think of.
Sounds like an exciting time.
It is very exciting.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up. One final question. Any other guidance as you would offer to utility security professionals as they're navigating an increasingly more difficult role in protecting utilities?
So I think one of the challenges, and I actually used to be in the utility space. I used to work for a company called ABB, Assea Brown Bavaria, a large electrical engineering company out of Europe. And I was based in Canada for a while. So I dealt a lot with the large utility, the Hydro-Quebecs of the world and so forth.
Wow.
And I know the challenge of the long lines out in the woods up to hydropower plants, the substations out in the field.
Yeah.
And I think technologies with communication such as Starlink to get good bandwidth to all the remote sites and really building out automated solutions with thermal cameras, with Pantelson, with speakers, with analytics to protect all this infrastructure. We as an industry are finally able to deliver on all those things in a super scalable way that's been a little bit difficult in the past. So we are excited to work, and we have a lot of tight dialogue with the big utilities of doing a lot more to protect the infrastructure that you and I all depend on every day.
Well, thank you so much.
Great.
Fredrik. I really
Thank
appreciate
you for coming by. Great spending time with you. Thanks, Curtis.
Don't forget to visit our website at utilitysecurity.com for exclusive intel, resources, and a community of fellow utility security professionals. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay tuned for your next mission briefing.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during this podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Utility Business Media and its employees. It is strongly recommended that you discuss any actions or policy changes